So becoming the ashram was Zach went off and he learned from his guru. I went off and learned from my guru, and we met back up in society. And we just had such a similar passion in, if people can just taste direct experience, then they will be propelled forward effortlessly. And so we see in the wellness space, we have all of the kind of the psychological gimmicks like mindset coaching, and we package things to make it pretty in a capitalist society, but none of it is serving in the potency that we have experienced. And so this really came from a passion to bring like a purity and a potency of the practice to others so that they can experience beyond the mind, beyond the body, and be able to be transformed outside of what happens at the retreat. It really is, when we say becoming the ashram, we're talking about the space that serves your spiritual development, you carrying that with you day in and day out and living that environment within. So as the title suggests, experience the embodiment of peace and joy. It's a natural part of your being. So this is what we want to instill. And frankly, there's a lot of escapism in how we treat our vacations, where we have this day-to-day life that we're not at peace with, and then we choose to go somewhere else to kind of refresh. But then we come back, we're in the same environment, and we get worn down in the same way that we had before. This experience is designed so that you don't get worn down when you come back. It's designed to keep on propelling you forward, so you don't feel like, oh, when's the next vacation? When's the next vacation? It's like there's a peace and a harmony within you. So I got a good chuckle out of that, because there is this mistake that retreats are kind of part of the tourism industry, and this isn't. This is about you diving in deep within yourself, and doing it in community in a way that's joyful and serves and all the things. So, hi, my name is Mitchell, and you are very familiar with Zach. We've got some credentials. Society loves credentials, but really what we find most important is that we bring what has tangibly worked, what has made a noticeable impact, and we want to share that deeply and passionately. And we want it to be fun, we want it to be engaging, and we want it to be an experience that you won't find anywhere else. And so all these credentials that you see can just be distilled into that little node. But we incorporate so much, and we love all of the different paths of yoga, whether that's bhakti and singing and connecting through just a devotional lens, or it's hatha yoga, and we're doing purification techniques and cleansing the body and the mind so that meditation becomes effortless and natural. Or it's a Raja yoga, as you're familiar with Zach's teachings in the meditative aspect. We want to provide an experience here where you get to taste so much of what yoga is outside of what most people think is just the physical postures. We bring the whole kitchen table, the whole kitchen sink into this experience, not in a way that's forceful, though. We were really happy with, okay, we want people to experience all the 7 main chakras, and we have, these offerings that were naturally coming up. We're like kids, just like spitballing, and everything just came together so harmoniously that we happen to have this wide array of things. Not that we're trying to force a wide array of things, but that the mission to be accomplished is able to be accomplished with all these fun, exciting things. So there's a lot of learning. You get an opportunity to connect with a bunch of different styles of yoga to see what really sits well within your heart and your soul. And then you can take that back with you home and be like, man, I really love the chanting and the devotional stuff. I'm going to make sure I incorporate that into my practice. Or I really love the hatha, or I really like the raja, the breath work, et cetera, et cetera. So that's another part of what we're trying to accomplish is giving you a buffet to when you go back home, you get to know what entree is one that you want to have for yourself. Yeah, so a little bit of who, what, when, where, and why. Zach, is there anything you'd like to add before we move on?
No, yeah, you're doing great. So this will be an opportunity for you to kind of really integrate 8 limbs, which is kind of like an umbrella approach to yoga. And so, each day you'll get to experience the postures, the breathing techniques, the meditation, and then also purification techniques and all this stuff. So it's an ashram is designed for you to go and just like live that for a duration of time so that you can then go back into the world. It's kind of like a reset period. So that's kind of relevant to what you're learning here. It's kind of like you get to live that for a little bit.
We've got the whole experience of 6 day, 5 nights, and we're going through the 7 main chakras with practices and teachings, and the whole day structured around moving from the root to the crown chakra. But within each day is the 8 limbs of yoga. So the day is guided by the 8 limbs of yoga. The theme, the whole arc of the experience is guided by the chakras. So that's a really excellent and important point. And as we experience on the last day, Zach and I do a workshop called From Breath to Bliss. It's a 2-hour immersive breathwork experience. And this just opens you up in a crazy, powerful way. But that experience in and of itself was guided by the 8 limbs of yoga as like a rubric. Now, you don't have to go step by step in the 8 limbs of yoga, but we chose what's the experience if we do this. And it's been a good experience for people. So don't fix what ain't broken. So yes, 8 limbs of yoga, huge aspect and very palpable, enjoyable experience. But what else do we do? We've got the forest baths. The forest bathing is simply just being immersed in nature in this way. It is acknowledging that we are an extension of life and that the earth is having an electrical transaction between us and the earth. We're exchanging electrons and we're having an impact on each other. And so when we're able to get away from often the concrete jungles that many of us live in and into a nature immersion, we find that the body will naturally become more harmonious. And especially after about 72 hours, it's an exponential curve, which is kind of why we've ended up making the retreat longer and longer, because it just every day you can stack on is more potent than the one before it. So the nature just does the work for you in this way. Eating nourishing meals, having food, having the digestive process not work against you but for you is something that modern society just does not incorporate. So we at least want to provide the opportunity to have our eating experience not be a hindrance for our spiritual experience, which too often is the case. And the woman who cooks at this retreat center, she's been doing it for decades. She's got everything down pat. It is delicious. The portions are everything you need and then some. Zach, do you want to talk about the food experience? Because it's great.
Yeah, it is absolutely incredible. She's I don't know if you've heard of Ayurvedic type of cooking and stuff like that, but she's I believe she's certified in Ayurvedic cooking, and it's just so good.
Yeah, Ayurveda is
So
a science originating in India, if I'm not mistaken. And it looks at the totality of the human mechanism, including the energy body and things of this nature. So thank you for that, Zach. Community, I think the biggest takeaway for most people is the ability for those that are seeking a like-minded others to grow with, to have these experiences with. I joke, with a lot of people, it's trauma bonding in a way, but it's not in that it's traumatic, but just in that you're becoming vulnerable and you're discovering new parts of yourself, and you're doing it with other people. That creates a deeper bond, because in that moment of vulnerability, these people are there to really interweave themselves into you. So there's such a tenderness with the people there. And we find, especially in modern day society, where we've been stripped of the village and sold back the village, this community that we get to experience in these retreats is such a soul longing for so many of us. And I think that's a healing aspect. And a lot of religious practices also emphasize the importance of having community in spiritual development. And we get to feel it in the setting, which is awesome. Like I said before, we touch up on a ton of different styles of yoga, and you see the list right there. We're also incorporating for the first time plant medicine ceremonies. So we'll have rape, which is a sacred tobacco from South America. Specifically, we'll be working with that from Peru, and we're supporting these indigenous communities that have a lot of wisdom and are very gracious in offering their culture to us. And we want to make sure that we honor and revere that in this way. And similar with the cacao that comes from Central America. And I just saw a video on the farm that they grow and process it. It's all women doing it by hand over there, and it's fair trade, and we make sure that everybody gets paid and all that stuff. But we want to make sure that we have a chance to imbibe in some of the culture, and not to appropriate the culture, but to bring it into people's awareness and to respect it and have a much appreciation for it. So I think that's an exciting new little wrinkle for this time around. Self-realization is what occurs when we just strip ourselves from the noise. It's our natural state of being. And so we're here just providing an opportunity in an environment for that natural occurrence to occur. We take ourselves away from Wi-Fi and from emissions and from the stress of emails and making meetings and whatever is going on. Even family can be a stressor for a lot of us. We just allow ourselves to take a deep breath and not feel any of that for some time. We allow ourselves to engage in cleansing practices. We allow ourselves to be loved by this community, by this space. And we find that it happens just because there's nothing in the way of it happening. So that's what this space is ultimately serving. And also, like we talked about, a lot of different modalities, because you can access the infinite in infinitely many ways. So it's behooves everyone. And not only is it fun for Zach and I, but everybody gets a chance to approach the divine from the angle that resonates most with them. The ashram is a space that allows this to happen at an accelerated clip, because everything is working for you. Everything's designed so that nothing is working against you. And that's exactly what we're bringing our experience from the ashram into this experience. So who is becoming the ashram for? It's for those who are human. Anthony was kind enough to record a little testimonial about his experience. It's beautiful. And he says the exact same thing, that if you're human, this is probably a good thing for you. So I love that I'm getting to see this here. So this is a whimsical slide, in that this is for everybody. This is the human experience. We're not trying to exclude anybody. Life is inherently inclusive. And so therefore this is a mirror for that natural order of life, of inclusion. Yay. And as far as logistics goes, it's a Tuesday to a Sunday. And how we imagine this working, just like last time, is we try and help people coordinate flights. We'll get a group message going. And so as people are planning these things, we make sure we coordinate arrival times. And we want to get as many people, landing around the same time as possible. and either they can group together and get like one of those big 15-seater vans and rent a car. It's not that much. Or for those that live locally, we can offer some carpooling if possible. I think that was able to work out last time, where we had a local that was able to drive some people up. So we'll work on the driving logistics, but there hasn't been any problems up to this point, and it's a group effort in this way, and we'll coordinate as a group for that. We will be at in Blue Ridge, Georgia, and
It's an awesome place.
It is an
It's
awesome,
really cool.
it's called Heartwood Retreat Center, and it's specifically designed for retreats like this. And if you believe in energy, and hopefully you're experiencing your energy, then it's almost intuitive that if you bring a bunch of people over many years that are all striving to enhance their energy and create a vibrance within themselves, the environment of this place is going to be affected by that. And so we have not only the curriculum of the retreat, but now the space of the retreat has been carrying this vibration of people who are improving themselves constantly, year-round, people coming in with this goal. So it feels beautiful and harmonious.
It is a gorgeous spot. And we'll be there in the summer. So lots of outdoor activities, hiking. There's it's a huge property, multiple different houses and locations for us to practice, and just it's a really cool spot. So I'm excited.
Yeah, it's all the different properties are walking distance, so you're close enough to where you don't need cars, but also you've got enough space to really feel immersed in the woods. There's infrared saunas. There's a bed that's suspended in the air for anybody outdoors. So it might be a little hot for some people, but for others, some people probably couldn't feel more free than doing that. Let's see, there's a hot tub. We've got multiple campfires. We've got multiple studios, multiple kitchens. I think both properties are 3 stories. It's great. It's just great.
It is. It really is.
So for those that are coming out of state, flying into Hartsfield-Jackson Atlanta Airport, it's the busiest airport in the world, but it's, in my experience, one of the best run. Logistically, I've had nothing but smooth flights. That being said, I've been loyal to Delta, and they've got a monopoly on the place, so that might have something to do with it. But yes, flying into that airport in the heart of Atlanta, and then it's about a 2-hour drive from there. And like we said, we'll work logistics on that front as a group. And then what to bring? Simplicity, I think, is key. There's some essentials. I believe they've got the soap and shampoo, the washcloths, the towels, things of this nature. We recommend keeping things as natural as possible, so not coming in with fragrance, beauty products, really unnecessary. This is for you to look within. So we just want to encourage have as few distractions as possible. So comfortable clothes, if they're made of organic materials like cotton, linen, wool. Probably not wool in the summertime, but cotton, linen, great materials. Otherwise, just, what's comfortable. We'll be sweating probably every morning. And we'll also be having some really winding down evenings as well. We'll be outside, we'll be inside. So just having a comfortable array of clothes, but it'll be summertime. So short sleeves and shorts will go a long way. Athletic wear will go a long way. Like we said, there's a hot tub and there's a sauna. So swimwear is going to be great. If you have specific hiking wear that you'd like to bring, you're welcome to do that. We'll make sure to do a waterfall hike one of the days. Yeah, so we do Kundalini practices often in the afternoon. And then we have, like I said, some of these ceremonies, these plant ceremonies. Traditionally, these are done in all white. So if you've got a wardrobe that allows you to wear all white, then it's conducive for some of these things, and it's traditional in this way. So if you want to be a part of that, then by all means, we'd love to see that. If not, don't stress it.
I assume too, and correct me if I'm wrong, but like it's probably a no phone, no digital experience.
Yeah, we're not going to take your phone, but we're going to encourage. Again, we want there to be a sense of freedom, right? Where you're in control. And this is the way when you come back into society that you are in control of your inner experience completely. And so we'll have about 4 hours midday. We've got a morning practice for 3 hours, I believe. We eat, and then we've got, and that transitions into allowing ourselves to hike, to just lay in a hammock, to journal and reflect, to meditate. What we want to do. It's our free time, right? And we give 4 hours to that. And so if people are going to choose to be on their phones, then that just takes away from their experience. But we acknowledge that everybody's doing the best that they can at each moment. And so if it's hard to do a full digital detox, we're not here to force it. We're here to encourage it and just let you know that it's conducive for what we're ultimately accomplishing. And what, you know, it ain't free, right? We're spending money to have this experience. So like let's dig in and have the full experience.
Yeah, so that was just a lead into my bigger question, right? So like if I totally agree, right? If you're gonna go through with this, you want to go through with it, and you don't want to be on your phone, right? So like, have you noticed in the past, has there been anybody that's had a hard time with that, I guess, sudden adjustment, right? Because we're in the social media age. Usually people are addicted to every 15 seconds a new stimulus. But if you get out into nature and you might try your best, and you might even try to sit for an hour by yourself, that could be a little difficult. So like, I'm sure you've done this for a couple times at least. So like, has there been an adjustment period? I think you already said there's the first 3 days until you really start to get, feel that exponential growth and connection with nature. So do you have, like, I guess, techniques, or there's a general sense behind, helping people get through that?
But what they do in their free time is sometimes I don't know, right? So they could be on their phones, but we're not watching people like hawks in this way. I haven't witnessed any issues. I haven't witnessed any social disconnect, emotional disturbance. I think what the winter retreat, somebody got some news that was just upsetting to them, and we spent time to talk about that around the dinner table. But I don't think we've experienced um, anything that's really deterred people. And if anything, we used it as a vehicle for, again, continued growth. Everything is
Mhm.
for the betterment of the human experience. Zach, do you
Okay.
have anything to add? Did I answer that well?
It's like kind of
Yeah,
seamless, a big issue. Yeah.
yeah, it's a pretty full agenda. I mean, we do have quite a bit of free time, but um, outside of free time, we're staying pretty busy. We're doing the postures or meditation or sound baths or whatever it may be. So there's not really much time to be on your phone. We keep you pretty busy.
Mm. And you'll find that doing all of the practices, because, hey, Zach and I have taught yoga classes, but there's only so much you can do in an hour to 90 minutes.
Right.
When you have a 3 hour morning practice, you will feel so peaceful. You'll naturally be less inclined. And so even if it does take those 3 days, you'll still feel it, and then the contrast between your disturbance when you're on your phone versus before you got on your phone will be so much more stark that you'll be like, ew, why
Mhm.
why am I doing this? Why do I want to do this? And you'll be so much more motivated because you feel great. you know like
Mhm.
if when we do things that make us feel great, we naturally want to like do things that help us stay in that state. So it does resolve itself quite effortlessly, and it's because of the commitment to the practice and the, like we said, the purity.
And when outside of our practices and stuff, we're like hanging out in the common areas and connecting with each other. So it's a really good time. So like, come to think of it, I can't remember people being on their phones, honestly. I'm
At
sure
all.
maybe once or twice, but I can't really, it doesn't strike a memory. Yeah.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I don't remember seeing a single phone out other than me just like reminding myself of the itinerary. I was like,
Right.
"All
Or
right,
like
what are we
taking
doing next?"
pictures. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool. No, that's good to hear. Yeah, I just generally was curious about that because I'm probably 10 years ago, something to worry about. But now, like being on mobile devices is as close to an addiction as possible, probably.
Yeah,
So,
it's a great question. Thank you for asking it. Absolutely.
um, there was another question too. So, like, yeah, kind of like what's the like the day to day. So, I mean, you did kind of explain it a little bit, right? So, you have these
Mhm.
kind of times, morning, afternoon. You might have some free time built in between. Do they get maybe the practice sessions a little bit longer? Like, will when I first started with Zach, I noticed that I could maybe only, attempt to concentrate or meditate for a short a time, and then I'm like tired and exhausted. And I got to give it a break, but maybe by the end of the week, or maybe are you able to sit in silence by yourself for a couple hours? Like, I don't know. Like, what's the take on that?
Yeah, absolutely. The reason as we're learning together, the reason why we can't sit is because there's so much disturbance in the system, particularly the mental emotional level. Physical level, pretty much always going to have disturbance there. That's what the postures help with, but your feet are going to go to sleep, back's going to hurt. That's kind of, but the mental emotional level has been so purified through all the practices that after a couple of days, you're just so peaceful that you do sit for much longer. Yeah.
And I find that there's like a feeling right around the heart that's just like it tickles you. It's that inherent joy that's within. And so once we do the practices, we cultivate a connection to this. You just want to be silent because breathing is like sweet and joyful. Like it tickles you in this way that's like, and it's so much easier. Again, when you're pleasant, a lot of things become easier, right? So which is the cool thing about an immersive experience like this. You really have the time and the space to experience getting in that space of effortless meditation, of joy, of really getting to connect with what's always there. Um, so
Yeah.
yeah, I think we don't throw you into meditation on the deep end. We do the prep work, like we talked about the 8 limbs of yoga. We acknowledge that meditation is kind of what we're aiming for, and there's a lot of pre-gaming to do before we get there, and
Yeah.
so we haven't had any issues with that. And even if it's uncomfortable, meditation, even 15 minutes of meditation could be uncomfortable, but you're still growing, and now you get to do it with this whole community of people that you I think you'll be amazed by the quality of people that come to an experience like this, where they want to talk and be vulnerable, and they'll share what they're struggling with, and they'll share what shows up in their practice. And it gives you an opportunity to obviously empathize with them, but then you feel safe to share as well. And everybody's here to help each other in this way based on their own experience. And Zach and I, of course, are here to facilitate that, to make this as productive as possible in that way.
Brittany, who's in training with us, she went on a retreat, and she's like, what she noticed was just the ability to be able to just take a handful of days just to immerse yourself in practices had just such a profound impact on what she was already doing at home, to where it's like, oh, wow, I see the point of like really taking time to be like, all right, I'm going to spend all day for the next 3 to 5 days, like really immersing in this stuff. And you just feel just a lasting relaxation in the system, clarity of the mind, and everything we're going for in our practice.
Mhm. A vibrance. You become like such a radiant
Yes.
human being.
Yeah, no, it makes a
All
bunch of
right.
sense. I think like your slide, you have like 200% excitement, but that people have good intent on
Yeah.
going
Mhm.
and right, you wouldn't have someone show up that's trying to undermine it. So that's good to know.